I'm Jake, 37, a heavy equipment mechanic. My wife, Emily, is 35. We've been married for almost 9 years and have a 6-year-old son, Noah. If someone told me a few months ago that I'd find out my wife was cheating on me because of a broken-down truck, I would have laughed in their face. But that's exactly what happened. It started when my Ford gave up on a Wednesday morning. I was pulling out of Noah's school parking lot when the transmission started slipping bad. Barely made it into a parking spot before it died completely. I called a tow truck and texted Emily, telling her she'd have to grab a taxi to work. She took it well, said it was fine, that she could manage. She ordered a ride, gave me a kiss goodbye like normal, and headed off. The first couple days, I didn't think anything of it. We were both busy, me dealing with the truck repairs, her with a big project at work. But after about the third day, I started noticing something odd. It was always the same taxi picking her up. Same silver Camry with a dent on the back bumper. Same driver, young guy, dark hair, sunglasses even at 7 a.m. Always parked a little down the street, not directly in front of the house. I figured maybe she was just reordering the same driver out of convenience. Still, something about it didn't sit right. Emily started spending more time getting ready in the mornings, too. She was dressing up more than usual, full makeup even on days she said she had no client meetings. She'd put on perfume I recognized, stuff she usually saved for date nights. One morning, just to test the waters, I joked, "At this rate, you and your taxi guy must be on a first-name basis." She laughed, too quick, too fake. Said, "Maybe he's just the only one working this side of town." I shrugged it off, but inside, a knot had already started forming. It got worse from there. She started coming home later. Always had an excuse. Meeting ran over. Traffic was terrible. Had to stop by the store. But no bags, no receipts. I noticed her texting more, smiling at her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. Then the mechanic called and said my truck would be ready by Friday afternoon. I picked it up without mentioning it to Emily. I had a gut feeling that if something was going on, I needed to see it for myself. So Saturday morning, when Emily said she had a team brunch and already ordered a taxi, I told her I'd stay home with Noah and catch up on some yard work. She left around 9:30 a.m., stepping into that same damn silver Camry. 5 minutes later, I was in my truck, hanging back a few cars behind. They didn't head toward her office or any brunch spot downtown. They took a turn onto the highway and drove about 20 minutes out, ending up in a small part of town full of strip malls and restaurants. I parked across the street and watched. They sat in the car for a few minutes. She was laughing about something, leaning in closer to him than anyone leans to a taxi driver. Finally, they got out. The driver touched her lower back casually, like it was the most natural thing in the world. And she didn't flinch. She didn't even look around to see if anyone was watching. They walked into a small Italian restaurant I'd never heard her mention before. I felt like the air got knocked out of my lungs. I sat there, hands clenched on the steering wheel, telling myself maybe it wasn't what it looked like. Maybe it was some weird work thing. Maybe I was jumping to conclusions. But deep down, I already knew. After about an hour, they came back out. They didn't even bother hiding it. Standing by the car, laughing, smiling, and then she leaned up and kissed him. Not a peck on the cheek. A real kiss. Like they had all the time in the world and no reason to be afraid. I didn't take a picture. I couldn't move. I just sat there like an idiot, watching the woman I built my life with kiss some random taxi driver like it was normal. After they pulled away, I just sat there for a long time. I didn't know whether to follow them, confront her, go home, or just drive somewhere and disappear for a while. I finally drove back home because of Noah. I couldn't stop thinking about how stupid it all sounded. How insane it was that I found out about this because my damn truck broke down. And the worst part was, I didn't even know the half of it yet. After I saw Emily kiss that guy outside the restaurant, I drove straight home. I don't even remember the drive, honestly. Just a blur of highway and traffic lights. My hands were shaking so bad I had to pull over once. When I got home, Noah was playing with his Legos on the living room floor. He ran up to me, smiling like nothing was wrong. I forced a smile back and told him we'd order pizza for lunch. The whole time I sat there with him, helping him build some spaceship thing, my brain was going a mile a minute. Was it a one-time thing? Was it serious? How long had it been going on? Did I even know my own wife anymore? I told myself I needed to calm down. Maybe it was some crazy mistake. Maybe it wasn't as bad as it looked. But deep down, I knew it was worse. Over the next few days, Emily acted different. Not dramatically, but enough for me to notice. She was on her phone a lot more. Always smiling at messages. Always angling the screen away if I happened to walk by. She'd disappear into the bedroom to take work calls, even when it was past office hours. And at night, she barely touched me. Said she was tired, stressed. I couldn't take it anymore. I needed to know exactly what was going on before I confronted her. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I went online and bought a cheap magnetic GPS tracker. It was simple. Stick it under her car, track it with an app on my phone. Discreet. No cameras, no drama. The day it arrived, I waited until Emily was inside putting Noah to bed. I slipped outside, stuck it under the rear bumper, and walked back in like nothing happened. I felt sick doing it, like I was already admitting that my marriage was broken, but I needed to know the truth. And sure enough, 2 days later, I got my answer. Emily said she was going into the office early for a big meeting, kissed me on the cheek, grabbed her laptop bag, and rushed out. 10 minutes later, I checked the tracker. She wasn't headed downtown toward her office. She was headed the opposite way, toward the edge of town, near the old industrial park. I grabbed my keys, told Noah I had some errands to run, and followed. I stayed back a good distance, watching the little dot move on my phone. She pulled into a cheap-looking motel with a faded blue sign, the kind of place that rents rooms by the hour. My stomach dropped. I parked a block away and watched from behind a dumpster. A few minutes later, the same silver Camry pulled in. He got out first, baseball cap, sunglasses, just like always. Then Emily got out of her car and walked straight up to him. They didn't even look nervous. No hesitation. No second-guessing. She hugged him. He kissed her neck. Then they disappeared into one of the ground floor rooms. I sat there staring at the door for a long time. Part of me wanted to storm over there, pound on the door, scream at both of them. But I didn't. I pulled out my phone and took a few photos from a distance. The motel name, their cars, them walking into the room together. I needed proof, not just for me, but for whatever came next. When I finally drove away, I realized something. Finding out about the affair hurt. But what was starting to hurt even more was realizing how easy it was for her. How natural it seemed. Like this wasn't new. Like they'd done it before. And the more I thought about it, the more I started wondering. Maybe the truck breaking down hadn't been bad luck after all. Maybe it had been part of the plan. After I saw them disappear into that motel room, something inside me snapped. I couldn't sleep that night. I just lay there staring at the ceiling while Emily slept beside me like nothing was wrong. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her laughing with him, hugging him, walking into that room like they'd done it 100 times before. I knew the affair was real now. I had the proof. But there was something else gnawing at the back of my mind, something I couldn't let go. The truck. At first, I thought it was just bad luck. Trucks break down. It happens. But the more I replayed it all in my head, the more wrong it felt. That morning when the truck broke, I remembered something strange. The way Emily reacted when I called her from the parking lot. She hadn't been worried. She hadn't even been surprised. She was almost too quick to tell me it was fine, that she'd just call a cab. I kept thinking about how fast she adapted, how happy she seemed once I was out of the picture every morning. It started to feel less like bad luck and more like a setup. I couldn't ignore it. The next day, when she took Noah to a play date, I went out to the garage and started poking around. I'm no idiot when it comes to cars. I've rebuilt engines from scratch, so I knew what I was looking at. When I crawled under the truck with a flashlight, it didn't take long to find the damage. Someone had tampered with the transmission cooler line. It wasn't just a loose clamp or natural wear. It had been cut, clean, and deliberate, not something that would happen by accident. My hands were shaking when I slid out from under the truck. There was no doubt anymore. Somebody had sabotaged my truck. And considering how fast Emily had adapted, how perfect the timing was, how eager she was to take a cab every day, it didn't take a genius to figure out who probably did it. At first, I didn't want to believe it. I tried to come up with other explanations. Maybe it was random vandalism. Maybe it happened at work. Maybe some punk kid messing around. But nothing made sense except the obvious. Emily, my wife, had made sure I couldn't drive her anymore. She needed me out of the way, so she could ride with her little side piece every morning without me around to notice. I sat there in the garage for a long time, just staring at the floor. You spend years building a life with someone. You work your ass off to give them everything they say they want. You trust them with your kid, your future, your heart. And they turn around and slice through it like it's nothing. Later that night, while Emily was in the shower, I pulled her phone off the charger and tried to unlock it. She'd changed the passcode. Another punch in the gut. She never used to lock her phone. We trusted each other, or at least I thought we did. I put it back before she noticed. I needed a better plan. I wasn't going to confront her half-cocked, screaming like some crazy person. I wanted her to tell me herself. I wanted to see if she would even try to lie to my face. And most of all, I needed to figure out exactly how deep this went, how long it had been happening, how much of my life had been a lie. Because now, it wasn't just about her cheating. It was about how far she was willing to go behind my back. And something told me I hadn't seen the worst of it yet. After I found out someone had cut the transmission line, I stopped pretending. Emily wasn't just cheating, she planned this. I kept acting normal around her, not because I forgave her, but because I needed more information before I decided what to do. Every morning she got ready like usual, a little too dressed up for a regular workday, checking her phone constantly, smiling at texts she didn't want me to see. I kept tracking her with the GPS I hid on her car. She wasn't even trying to hide it. Half the time she wasn't going anywhere near her office. She'd sit in parking lots for hours or stop at random cafes across town. And every time, the silver Camry wasn't far behind. One night, she told me she had a networking event at a hotel downtown. I checked the GPS 15 minutes after she left. She wasn't anywhere near the hotel district. She was back at that same rundown motel. I didn't even hesitate. I grabbed my keys and drove over, parking across the street where she wouldn't see me. Her car was there. The silver Camry was there. The light in one of the rooms was on, curtains halfway drawn. I already knew what was happening inside, but then something even worse happened. A third car pulled into the lot, a beat-up old Dodge. A guy got out, maybe in his 50s, heavy-set, gray hair, carrying a backpack. He walked right up to the room without knocking and went inside. 3 people now, not 2. I sat there gripping the steering wheel so hard my fingers went numb. This wasn't just an affair. It felt organized, planned, routine, like it wasn't the first time they'd done this. I left before I made a scene. I didn't want to risk getting arrested for whatever stupid thing I might do if I stayed. That night, I barely slept. Emily came home the next morning acting completely normal, asking how Noah and I spent our evening, smiling like she was just a regular wife coming home from a long day. I forced myself to look at her and said, "Same old. You." She laughed it off, kissed me on the forehead, and went to make herself coffee. Right then, it finally hit me. This wasn't just about some fling. She was living a whole second life I had no idea about. And if she could plan sabotaging my truck just to sneak around with her taxi boyfriend, I had no idea what else she was capable of. But I was done being passive. I was going to get answers, one way or another. After that night, I knew I couldn't just sit back anymore. I had proof of the cheating, but not enough to understand what I was really dealing with. If Emily was sneaking around with 2 different guys in a motel, what else was she hiding? I needed more than a couple blurry photos. I needed solid proof. I needed to know exactly who that taxi guy was, and why the hell some older man was meeting them like it was just another Tuesday night. First thing I did was start keeping closer track of her excuses. Whenever she mentioned a meeting, an event, an extra long shift, I wrote it down in a notebook I kept hidden in the garage. Places, times, little details she probably didn't even realize she was giving away. I also started checking her laptop when she wasn't home. She had always left it open before, but now it was password protected. It wasn't hard to figure out. She used Noah's birthday, just reversed. 2 tries and I was in. There wasn't much at first, just work emails, calendar invites. But digging deeper, I found a second email account linked to her name, one she had never mentioned to me. I couldn't access it without the password, but just seeing that hidden account told me everything I needed to know. She wasn't just sneaking off for a little affair. She was living a double life, and she was careful. I decided to follow her again the next weekend. She told me she had a team-building brunch across town. As soon as she left, I checked the tracker and tailed her. Same routine. She met up with the taxi guy at a gas station this time, left her car parked behind the building, and got into his car. They drove together out past the city limits, about 40 minutes into some rural area I'd never been to before. I stayed far back, enough not to be seen. They pulled into a private house set way back off the road. Big property, lots of trees around it, totally hidden from neighbors. I parked down the road where I could just barely see the driveway entrance. After about an hour, more cars started arriving. Random people. Men, women. Some looked normal, others shady as hell. It wasn't some innocent family barbecue. People weren't carrying food or gifts. They were walking in empty-handed. A few even looked nervous. I didn't dare get closer. I just sat there, taking pictures of the cars and license plates when I could. Something bad was going on there. I wasn't stupid. I'd seen enough to know it wasn't just Emily hooking up with one guy anymore. Whatever it was bigger, organized, dangerous, maybe. On the drive home, my heart was pounding so hard I had to pull over. I kept thinking about Noah, about how I trusted her with everything. And now she was dragging herself, and maybe even us, into God knows what. I realized something that night. This wasn't just about cheating. This was about lies on a level I wasn't ready for. And the next time she walked through that door smiling like nothing was wrong, I knew I couldn't just sit there and pretend anymore. After what I saw at that house, I couldn't let it go. Emily wasn't just sleeping around. That place wasn't a hookup spot. It felt secret, controlled. Whatever it was, it had rules. And people coming and going like it was some kind of private event. I went home, printed out the license plates I'd photographed, and spent most of the night running them through public record sites and apps I probably shouldn't have been using. I got lucky with one. A plate matched to a guy who owned a strip club 2 towns over. He'd been charged with trafficking a few years back, but somehow never went to prison. Another belonged to a real estate agent who had been sued for running some kind of scam Airbnb ring. None of these people had anything to do with Emily's world. So what the hell was she doing there? It felt like I was peeling back layers of a life I didn't know she had. I thought I was married to someone who worked hard, loved our kid, came home to us at the end of the day. But the more I looked, the more I realized that version of her had probably been gone for a long time. I didn't know what she was involved in, or how far it went. But I did know one thing: I couldn't keep playing dumb. I had to confront her. I just didn't know how to do it without blowing everything up. I didn't want Noah caught in the middle. The next few days, I kept things normal. Dinner, bedtime routines, fake conversations. But inside, I was just waiting for the right moment. Then something happened that gave me more than just suspicion. It gave me confirmation. Emily had gone to bed early after, working late. I walked past her purse in the hallway and saw her phone lit up. A message preview from a number not saved in her contacts. I only caught 2 lines. Same spot Saturday? And bring cash this time. That was it. No more waiting. No more guessing. I spent the rest of the night setting things up. Copied the message. Took pictures of her recent calls and messages when she was asleep. I was done playing the confused husband. I wanted the truth, all of it. And I wasn't going to ask nicely anymore. Saturday morning, she got dressed like usual. Nice blouse, light makeup, heels she never wears unless she's going out somewhere nice. I asked her where she was headed. She said, just grabbing coffee with Claire. She's been stressed. She even smiled when she said it. I nodded, told her to drive safe, and she left. I followed her again, but I didn't even need the GPS this time. Straight back to the same house. This time she didn't ride with the taxi guy. She drove her own car, alone. I watched her pull into the driveway and get let in through the side gate by someone who looked like security. 10 minutes later, I stepped out of my truck and walked straight toward the gate. I didn't care anymore if she saw me. As I walked toward the gate, I had no real plan. I didn't know what I was going to say, or if anyone would stop me, but I wasn't going to just sit in my truck anymore watching my wife disappear into a life I didn't know. The closer I got, the more I could feel the adrenaline kicking in. My hands weren't shaking. My thoughts were clear. I just wanted to look her in the eye. The guy at the gate didn't expect me. He stepped toward me fast, arms tense, clearly ready to tell me to turn around. I didn't slow down. I said, I'm here for Emily. She knows me. I kept walking. He looked me over, then glanced back toward the house like he wasn't sure what to do. I don't know if it was the tone in my voice or the fact I didn't stop moving, but he let me through without saying a word. I followed the stone path around the back and saw the house was bigger than I thought. Music was playing inside, soft but steady, the kind of music people drink to. I stepped up to the sliding glass doors and looked in. There she was, my wife, standing in the kitchen with a glass of wine, laughing at something the taxi guy said. His hand was on the small of her back. She was wearing something that wasn't for brunch or errands. It was the kind of outfit she used to wear for me when we had date nights. I opened the door and walked in. Everything stopped. Her laugh cut off mid-sentence. Her smile disappeared so fast it was like someone hit a switch. The guy turned around, confused at first, then tense. I looked right at her. We need to talk. Now. She didn't say anything for a few seconds. Just stood there staring at me, like she didn't know whether to be scared or pissed. Then she walked past him and said, "Let's go outside." We stepped out into the yard. Nobody followed. She didn't speak first, so I did. "I know everything, Emily. I've seen where you go. I've seen you with him. I know what this place is." She stared at me, jaw tight, arms crossed. "You've been spying on me? Don't flip this. Just tell me how long it's been going on." Still no answer. Just silence. I pressed again. "Did you really think I'd never find out? You sabotaged my truck, Emily. You cut the line so I couldn't drive you. That's how far you went." That's when she finally spoke, quiet, but sharp. "I didn't want to hurt you." I laughed. Actually laughed. "You didn't want to hurt me? You've been sneaking off for what, months? A year? And you bring some other guy around our son like nothing's wrong?" "It's not like that," she said. "Then tell me what it is." She looked down, like she was trying to decide how much to say. Then, without looking at me, she said, "I met him last year. At a client event. It was nothing at first. Then it wasn't. I didn't plan for it to get serious. It just did." "And the house? The other guy? The people coming in and out like it's a damn club?" She looked up. "It's private. It's complicated. Try me." She paused. "It's a group. It's not illegal. It's just people with certain interests." I stared at her, trying to understand what the hell that meant. "You've been lying to me, to Noah. You live in our house and run off to this place like it's a second life." "I never stopped loving you," she said. That hit harder than I expected, and for a second, I didn't know what to say. When Emily said she hadn't stopped loving me, I didn't respond right away. I think I was trying to figure out whether she believed it, or just wanted me to believe it. Either way, it didn't matter much anymore. The line had already been crossed. I said, "You sabotaged my truck, met some guy behind my back, and snuck around for months, and now you want to talk about love?" She looked down again. No defense, just silence. That told me more than anything she could have said. I pressed harder. "So what? This guy's not just some random fling? You've been doing this for how long?" "Since January," she said. "Almost 6 months." I did the math in my head. That meant while I was working overtime in the cold, trying to pay off our credit cards and get ahead, she was already in this thing, already planning ways to sneak out, already looking me in the eye every day while doing it. "And the house?" I asked. "That's not just some hangout. Who's the old guy that showed up the other night?" She hesitated. "He's part of the group. It's private. Invitation only. We meet there sometimes." "For what?" I asked. "Sex parties? Is that what this is?" She flinched. "It's not what you think." "Then what is it?" She looked me straight in the eye. "It's about freedom. No rules. No judgment. People who want to live outside of all the boxes." I almost laughed again, but this time I couldn't. "You've got a husband and a son, Emily. That's not a box. That's a family." She didn't respond. I shook my head. "You could have talked to me. You could have told me you were unhappy. Instead, you chose this. You cut me out completely. You lied to me every single day." I didn't know how to stop, she said. And maybe that was the most honest thing she'd said yet. I stood there for a second, just staring at her. Part of me wanted to yell. Part of me wanted to cry. But mostly, I just felt done. Empty. "I'm taking Noah," I said. "And I'm not playing dumb anymore." "You're leaving?" she asked, voice suddenly shaking. "I'm not leaving. I'm giving you space to keep doing what you clearly want to do. But you're not dragging our kid into it." She didn't argue, didn't try to fight me on it. She just stood there as I walked past her, back toward the driveway. I got in my truck, pulled away, and called my sister. Told her I was coming over with Noah, and we'd be staying for a few days. She didn't ask why, just said yes. When I got home, Emily still wasn't back. I packed what I needed, grabbed Noah's school things, a bag of clothes, and a few of his favorite toys. I didn't want to scare him, so I told him we were having a little guys' weekend at Aunt Jess's. He smiled. That helped. As we drove off, I looked back in the mirror. Not at the house. At the street. The same spot where the silver Camry had parked almost every morning. I didn't know what was going to happen next, but I knew one thing. I wasn't going to sit back and let someone walk all over me while calling it freedom. Staying at my sister's place gave me just enough space to think straight. Just didn't press me for details. She made up the guest bed, made sure Noah had everything he needed, and just let us be. I appreciated that more than she probably knew. Noah loved being around his cousins, and it kept him distracted. I told him Mom had to work late, and we'd be hanging out here for a few days. He didn't question it. To him, it was like a sleepover. I didn't sleep well the first few nights. I kept going over everything in my head, how I got here, how Emily had been living a second life, how I missed all the signs. It made me sick to think about how far she'd gone. Not just the affair, but the lies, the group, the house, the people showing up like they were part of something bigger than I even understood. By day 3, still nothing from her. No calls, no texts. I thought she'd reach out sooner. I thought she'd at least try to explain herself, but it was just silence. I checked the GPS on her car out of habit. She'd been to the house a couple times, and back out to that remote place once. She wasn't hiding it. She didn't have to anymore. She probably thought I was gone for good. On the 4th day, she finally called. I almost let it go to voicemail, but I picked up. Her voice was calm. Too calm. She asked if we could talk. I told her we were talking. She said she meant in person. Just us. No drama. No family. No lawyers. I didn't answer right away. She added that she wasn't trying to fight. She just thought we needed to talk face to face. I asked if she was still seeing the guy. She paused. Said she wasn't seeing anyone right now. I didn't believe her, but I didn't push it. I agreed to meet once. Neutral ground. Public place. We met at a diner halfway between Jess's place and the house. I got there early, sat in a booth with a view of the entrance. She showed up late, worn out, but still made up, like someone trying to hold it together. We didn't hug, didn't shake hands, just sat down. She said she wasn't going to justify what she did. She admitted she crossed a line, said she was still Noah's mom and wanted to figure out how to deal with this without blowing up his world. I told her flat out that she didn't get to split herself between 2 lives and pretend she still gets to parent like nothing happened. She said she wasn't dragging Noah into anything, that she just wanted a fair arrangement for him, that she'd lost control of her own life, that she made mistakes. I asked her if she was still part of that group. She hesitated, said not in the way I thought. I told her to just give me a straight answer. She said yes, but that it wasn't like before. That was all I needed to hear. I told her she could live however she wanted now, but that double life stops here. Noah's not part of it. She said she understood. She asked if she could see him that weekend. I told her I'd think about it. I paid the bill and left. No big blow-up. No scene. I was just done. The day after I met with Emily, I booked a consultation with a family lawyer. I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew I couldn't just wing it. Noah came first. I wasn't going to let whatever life Emily had gotten herself tangled in come anywhere near him. The lawyer was direct, asked all the right questions. I told him about the affair, the lying, the house, the weird gatherings. I showed him the photos I had of her and the taxi guy at the motel, of the group at the house, the message on her phone. He didn't look surprised. He just nodded and started outlining what I needed to do if I wanted to push for primary custody. He told me to stay calm, stay consistent, and document everything. Not just the cheating, but anything that showed her instability or lack of judgment around parenting. He said the courts wouldn't care much about the affair itself. They'd care about how it impacted Noah, whether she was exposing him to unsafe people or situations. I walked out of that meeting more clear-headed than I'd felt in weeks. I wasn't just reacting anymore. I had a direction. Back at my sister's, I started setting things up. Routines for Noah. Clean structure. I made sure his school didn't miss a beat, stayed in touch with his teacher, even told them we were staying with family temporarily. Just helped out where she could. No drama, just support. That Friday, Emily texted again. Asked if she could take Noah for the weekend. Said she missed him. I waited a few hours before answering. I told her no overnight visits for now, not until we had something in writing. I said I'd be willing to do a few supervised hours at a park or public spot, but that was it. She didn't respond right away. When she finally did, it was short. If you try to take him from me, I'll fight you. That was the first time I saw her drop the calm tone. The first time she sounded like she realized I wasn't going to roll over. I didn't reply. The next morning, she showed up at Jess's. Didn't call, didn't text, just pulled into the driveway and knocked on the door. Jess opened it, then called for me. I stepped outside and told her to keep Noah in the back room. Emily was standing there, arms folded. She didn't look angry. She looked desperate. She said I was making this worse than it needed to be, that we could still figure it out together, that there was no reason to drag Noah into a legal mess. I told her we were already in one, that I wasn't keeping Noah from her, but I wasn't going to hand him over like nothing happened. She said she wasn't putting him in danger. I asked her how she could even know that, when she barely knew the people she was associating with. She had no answer for that, just more silence. She left without yelling, without a scene, but I could tell it was the start of a storm. Later that night, I checked the GPS again. She'd gone back to that house. I guess I expected her to pull away from it, at least temporarily. But no. If anything, she seemed more buried in it than before. I didn't know if it was some kind of escape for her, or if she just didn't care anymore. But that was when it fully clicked for me. This wasn't just a mistake she made and regretted. This was who she had become. I thought I was a few steps ahead. I had a lawyer, a plan, evidence, and Noah safe with me. I thought the worst was behind me. But that was before the letter showed up. It came on a Tuesday morning, plain white envelope. No return address. Just my name, printed neatly on the front. I opened it while Noah was eating breakfast, thinking maybe it was from my lawyer or someone official. It wasn't. Inside was a single piece of paper, a typed letter. No signature. If you keep interfering with my time with Noah, I will tell the court what you did to your coworker. You know what I mean. If I go down, you're coming with me. I froze. My heart actually stopped for a second, because I knew exactly what she was talking about. Years ago, 5, maybe, I got into it with a guy at work. Total jerk, always running his mouth. One day he pushed too far, said something about Emily. I lost it, grabbed him, shoved him into a locker hard enough that it left a dent. He never reported it, didn't want the embarrassment. We both agreed to let it go. But Emily knew. I told her back then, thinking she was my partner, my teammate. She'd sworn it stayed between us. And now she was threatening to use it against me. The letter had no name on it, but it didn't need one. I knew her language, the exact tone, cold and calculated. It was her. I called my lawyer immediately, told him what I got. He told me not to respond to it, not to confront her. Just document it, keep the envelope, the paper, take photos, log the delivery date. He said it looked like an intimidation tactic, that she might be getting desperate, but I wasn't ready for what came next. That weekend, I got served. Emily had filed an emergency motion with the court claiming I was emotionally unstable, possibly violent, and had taken Noah without agreement. She requested temporary custody, claimed she felt unsafe. Everything in that filing was twisted, half-truths dressed up to sound like danger. The fight with my coworker, my paranoia. She even tried to paint me following her as harassment, leaving out the part where she was sneaking off to group sex parties and letting strangers near our kid. The worst part? The judge granted a temporary order. I had to give Noah back until the next hearing. I'll never forget packing up his things while he smiled and told me how much fun he had that week. I couldn't tell him what was happening. I just said he'd be going home with Mommy for a little while. Emily didn't show up to the pickup herself. She sent someone else, her sister, probably to avoid any confrontation. That told me everything. She knew what she was doing, and she didn't care what it cost. The house felt hollow after Noah left, quiet in a way that wasn't peaceful. I sat on the edge of the bed that night, holding the letter again, just staring at it. She had flipped the narrative, and now I had to prove the truth in court or risk losing everything. The court date came faster than I expected. 2 weeks of stress, back and forth with my lawyer, gathering every piece of proof I had. I didn't sleep much. I kept replaying everything she'd said, everything she'd done. That letter, the fake accusations, the lies. I wasn't scared of her anymore. I was just exhausted. I wanted it over. I wanted my son back. The morning of the hearing, I showed up in a clean shirt, clean shave, early. Emily arrived with her lawyer, acting like the picture of calm. I didn't look at her. I had nothing left to say. The courtroom was quiet, cold. Everything I said had to be measured, focused. I didn't go off on rants. I let the evidence speak for itself. The GPS data, the photos, the texts. I told the judge the full story, how I found out about the affair, the house, the group, the people coming and going. I didn't exaggerate. I stuck to the truth. Then my lawyer dropped the final piece. Security footage. Turns out, one of the motels Emily used had a front desk camera facing the parking lot. We subpoenaed it. It showed her walking into a room with two different men on two separate dates. That footage changed the mood in the room. Suddenly, it wasn't my word against hers anymore. Emily's lawyer tried to spin it, said it was her private life, that it had nothing to do with her being a parent. But the judge didn't seem impressed. He asked why she failed to disclose these overnight stays, why she sent an anonymous threat, why she filed for emergency custody after I'd raised concerns privately. The judge didn't issue a final custody ruling that day, but he did reverse the emergency order. I picked Noah up that evening. He came running into my arms like nothing had happened, like he never felt the tension, like I was still his world. After that, Emily backed off. We're not done with court, but she stopped pushing. Probably realized things weren't going her way anymore. It's been a few weeks now. Noah's doing okay. He asks about his mom, and I tell him the truth, in pieces that a 6-year-old can understand. She loves him. She's just figuring things out. I haven't seen her since that day in court. She texts sometimes, short updates, mostly about Noah. But the woman I knew or thought I knew isn't there anymore. I don't even know if she was ever real. The hardest part is realizing how long she'd been gone, and how hard I tried to pretend otherwise. As for me, I'm rebuilding, one piece at a time. I don't know if I'll ever trust someone again like I did her. But I've got my son. I've got the truth. And I've got a shot at a clean life without the lies. That's enough for now.